Welcome, everyone. It's Natasha Tomlinson, real estate agent here in the greater Phoenix metro area. Let me just make sure that everything is working. I can see me. Fantastic. Looks like my mic is working. Also fantastic. So let's get the show on the road. Over the years, I've had the pleasure of helping many homeowners here in Arizona both buy, sell, and invest in real estate. And I have to say, I'm excited to be spending some time here with you this evening. I know your week is busy and appreciate you spending a few moments here with me. Tonight's webinar is called Your Options, Your Equity, Your Future, because that's exactly what we're diving into here. Uh, Market shifts happen, they happen rapidly. Um, and it's the perfect time to get informed, stay ahead, and make smart decisions, whether you're thinking of selling now or you're planning to in the future. So, today I want to talk to you about something that is not just affecting our economy, but it's also affecting our future. You may have heard the news off and on about the Fed funds rate. So, I wanted to touch on that here today. What is happening with the Federal Reserve, the Fed funds rate, and how it all ties into things like buying real estate. First off, what is the Fed funds rate, right? Or simply put, the Fed. What is the Federal Reserve? Excuse me. Or simply put, the Fed. The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States, kind of like the bank of banks, right? It was created way back in 1913 to help make sure that our economy stays stable. And the Fed has a few important jobs, right? The Fed manages our money supply, it controls how much money is circulating in the economy, it regulates banks, it makes sure that banks are safe and sound, so people's money is protected. The Fed also keeps the economy stable. It works to maintain a healthy economy with low unemployment and stable prices. So, what is the Fed funds rate? And I'm setting you up for more information. So, if you know all this, just bear with me. The Fed funds rate is the interest rate at which banks lend money to each other overnight. And why does this matter to you, right? It affects interest rates for things like loans, mortgages. So when the Fed funds rates, when uh, when the Fed changes this rate, okay, it can either help the economy grow or it can slow it down. Lowering the rate makes borrowing cheaper, which encourages people to spend more money. And raising it makes borrowing more expensive, which can help keep inflation in check. So now, okay, what is inflation and why should you care? Inflation is when price of things like food, gas, clothes, when they go up. If inflation is high, your money won't buy as much as it used to. And we all have felt the effects of inflation. The Fed pays close attention to inflation because it affects how well our economy is doing. All right? Does that make sense? Okay, great. Let me just change this screen here. Yes. All right. So, a little inflation is normal and even good because it usually means people are spending money. But when it gets too high, the Fed may decide to raise interest rates to cool down inflation. So, how does this all fit together? All right. How does this connect to interest rates? Mortgage rates are directly influenced by the Fed funds rate. The Fed raises rates to control inflation. Mortgage rates, they usually go up too. This means that if you want to buy real estate, your monthly payments could be higher. And on the flip side, if the Fed lowers the Fed funds rate, mortgage rates could drop, making it cheaper to borrow money to buy real estate. So let's get to recent news, right? Today we heard from the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, and he announced that the Fed, the Federal Reserve, is holding steady on interest rates during the July meeting. This means they are resisting pressure to lower rates right now because they're still keeping an eye on inflation. He also mentioned that no decisions have been made about what will happen in September, which I believe is the next meeting. This is important because it shows that the Fed is focused on keeping inflation under control before making any big decisions that could affect the economy and mortgage rates. So, understanding the Federal Reserve, the Fed funds rate, and inflation is pretty important, especially if you intend on buying or selling real estate. The way these factors interact with each other can shape the economy and affect how much things cost. So, before we dive into more of tonight's webinar, feel free to, take a moment, grab that pen and paper, open up your favorite note app. You may want to jot down a few things, a few of your favorite takeaways. And don't forget, at the end of tonight's webinar, I'll give you a link so that you can book a free consultation with me, and in that consultation, I will give you your free custom home value report, your net sheet, your market timing strategy, and information on buyer incentives tailored to your property. Right. So let's set the stage. Right. It is July 2025, and today, when I was out there driving, my car read 115 degrees. Like, oh, right. Well, besides the weather, the real estate market, the greater Phoenix metro real estate market, has seen a bit of a shift, right? We've gone from a super hot seller's market to more of balance and a buyer's market in some areas. This means that we are not in the frenzied 2021, 2022 market anymore. Buyers have choices today, right? And sellers have to get strategic. And price is no longer the only factor that matters. Condition is a huge factor. Inventory is higher than it was this time last year. So, you as a home seller, you have more competition. The buyer's looking at more houses before they look at yours. Price reductions are rising. Short term rental owners and those flipping property are choosing to exit the real estate market. Mortgage applications are up, and the median price year over year is pretty steady. So, what does a smart seller do in a market like this to get their home sold? Well, they look at every available option because there is no one size fits all. So let's walk through those options for you. Option one is the traditional sale, right? And we'll briefly review pros and cons of each. In your traditional sale, the pro is you have the highest visibility of the house, right? You have the most eyeballs on that house with professional marketing. It's a time for people to look at it online, in person, think, process whether this property will really be the best for them. And it's your best chance at getting full market value. Now, the con of a traditional sale is that it could take time. It could take work, and there needs to be the right marketing strategy. Another option is the instant cash offer. Now, a lot of people love this, and this grows in popularity because they don't have to fix anything. A lot of times, uh, the property is sold in as is condition. There are no showings to contend with, and it's a quick closing time, right? Well, with all good things, there's a balance. So the cons of that are those offers tend to be pretty below market. All right. It's not ideal for everyone. It can be good for those who they need to relocate quickly, maybe a pre-foreclosure situation, maybe a property that needs a great deal of updating. Those instant cash offers could work depending on your needs as the property owner, right? Third option is seller financing. Seller financing, yes. What is old is new again, right? Seller financing, lease purchase, exact wraps, owner carrybacks. Now, the pros of this is if, especially if you own the home free and clear, or you have a lot of equity, is that a lot of times you can get a higher price. You're not worried about the buyer qualifying with the bank. You're not worried about appraisal. You're not worried about all these extra conditions. Now, the con of seller financing, the pro is that you're the bank and you get the interest. The con is also that you're the bank. It's slow money, right? You're not getting all your nut at one time, all right? So you have to vet the buyer. You have to make sure that they have the ability to pay, the ability to repay that your note, right? The amount due, whatever uh, amount that you guys price and terms you agree on. Option four for selling in today's market is the assumable loan for FHA and VA loans. Now, government backed loans. Okay. The pros of this is that the buyer can take over your existing interest rate. People have low interest rates. They've been, some folks have two interest rates in twos, threes, fours, even an interest rate in the fives right now would be lower than what someone would get today. Now, the con of that is that it's for certain loan types, right? For FHA and VA loans. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, what happens with that gap? Okay. Example, you're selling your house for 500,000. Your loan is for 300,000. Okay. What happens to that 200,000? You're not selling the property for 300,000, right? So the new buyer is either coming to the table with $200,000 in cash, or they have to get another loan for some or all of that gap, right? So there's some, little extra steps in there. Now the buyer does have to qualify to assume your existing loan, okay? There's no more no qualify loans, although there are a number of people out there that will call you trying to convince you that this is the best way to go, and it's totally up to you if you want to take advantage of that, but I would strongly suggest that you get proper counsel before signing on the dotted line on those types of things. Okay. The process can be slower on a traditional assumption of an FHA VA loan. The banks don't have huge departments taking care of these things. So it can be 45, 60, 90 days. I know one loan servicer, it's taking 6 months for them to do a loan assumption. So, be mindful of that. And another option that's tried and true is renting out the property, right? Instead of selling it. Well, pros and cons with everything. You may want to be a landlord. Maybe that is in your plan to build rental property for additional income, for retirement, for your kids' future, whatever the case may be. This way, you get to keep the asset and you get to have cash flow. Just make sure it's positive cash flow, right? Because rents have come down a bit. They're stabilizing, but there are more rentals available. So you have more competition as well, and rising costs of maintaining upkeeping the property, insurance, and things of rising HOA costs, things of that nature. So make sure you crunch the numbers, decide whether you are going to self-manage or if you will hire a third-party property management company, and what does that look like. How are you going to properly assess the tenant and make sure that you have a good tenant that's going to be in there taking care of your property and paying on time? Now, if you're not sure which option is the best for you, feel free to book that free strategy call, and I will help you crunch the numbers and see what best fits your goals, right? So let's talk a little bit about the elephant in many home buyers' minds today, and that would be interest rates. Okay. Yes, they are higher than we would like. They're definitely higher than 2020 and 2021. Those were unicorn years. Those were pandemic years. Today, rates have settled around, 6.75, 7.25, and that's good news. The rates, we're seeing stabilization, all right? So if they drop at a later date, if I look in my crystal ball, I have no answers, okay? There's all sorts of guesses out there about when they're going to drop, if they're going to drop, and how much they're going to drop. I looked at my crystal ball, okay, and like I said, it laughed at me, okay? Nobody knows, all right? So if they drop at a later date, you can always refinance. But if prices go up and you did not buy now, you've missed the boat, right? You've missed that window. So, also, affordability is another word that people are throwing around a lot these days. Affordability is not just about the rate, okay? It's about your whole monthly payment, your budget, how how that payment relates to your budget, your other expenses. So today, we're seeing more creative ways to keep payments affordable. We're seeing rate buy downs. We're seeing down payment assistance programs. We are seeing lower costs mortgage insurance, right? We're seeing smart home selection. And if you qualify for an FHA loan, you're not alone, right? FHA applications jumped up again in June, and that's telling us that buyers are re-entering the market. They know this is their moment. The wait is over for them. They've waited long enough to see what's going to happen with the economy, with elections, with tariffs, and on and on and on. And now it's time to move on with their life, move on with their goals. So, all right, let's take a few moments to talk about something. It might be a little boring, okay? But we're going to talk about it anyway. All right, I'll try to jazz it up. Here we go. We're going to talk about this big, beautiful bill. Now, it's not meant to be political. I'm just meant to inform you about the benefits in this big, beautiful bill for you, the homeowner, you, the investor, you, the property owner, potential property owner. All right, let's get started. Benefit one is the mortgage interest deduction being expanded. If you're getting a mortgage, and most people are, the interest you pay on your loan is deductible, right? And it's deductible up to balances of 750,000. So that means if you have a mortgage, you can write off the interest you're paying on your federal taxes, making your monthly payment, it's making it more affordable, especially when tax time rolls around. So, yes, you have your interest rate in paper. And then when you factor in that deduction, the cost of borrowing tends to be lower. All right. Benefit number two with this big, beautiful bill is the expanded SALT deduction cap. SALT stands for not salt and pepper, not the seasoning, not the R&B group for the 80s and 90s. SALT is your state and local taxes. And there used to be a limit on how much your property taxes could deduct, which was about $10,000. Well, under the new bill, if you're earning under $500,000 a year, that cap increases to $40,000 per year through 2029. So that's pretty huge for homeowners, right? Especially here in Arizona in the luxury market, especially for people coming from higher property tax states like California, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Illinois, to name a few. Okay. So we know every dollar counts, right? So more tax relief equals more affordability. Now, let's jump into PMI. PMI is now tax deductible. PMI, private mortgage insurance, is something many buyers pay if they put down less than 20%. And let me tell you, they're not happy about it either. Okay. Most people say, hey, what is that? Why do I have to pay that? Well, the lender wants you to pay that. Okay, you're putting down less than 20%. It's more risk for them to lend to you, is how they look at it. Even if you have great credits, even if you have great income, it's how they look at it. And they charge you a PMI insurance until there is so much equity, then you have the opportunity to get rid of that PMI over time on a conventional loan, or you can refinance and be rid of that PMI potentially, right? When you have appreciation on your property. So anyway, a lot of people are like, I don't want to pay this PMI. I'm like, well, you kind of have to, you know. It's not really up to me. You could try to put more down and get out of it, but it's it's uh it's always an interesting discussion. Anyway, many people see this monthly PMI fee uh, as wasted money. Okay. But now you can deduct it on your taxes every year. So, right, there's a bright light in there. And that's a game changer for those who are putting down low down payments or for first time home buyers. This is a game changer for our property owners. Option 4, benefit 4 in this big beautiful bill is the 20% qualified business income deduction for landlords. So if you're thinking of buying and renting out your current home or stepping into investing, hey, this one's for you, right? Landlords can deduct 20% of their rental income thanks to the return of the QBI deduction, the qualified business income deduction. That means lower taxes, more cash flow from your rental, and that deduction applies even if you have one property. Pretty outstanding. So number 5 is the 100% bonus depreciation is back. That's the fifth benefit that we're discussing today in regards to real estate. For real estate investors or anyone buying property for income or business use, that 100% bonus depreciation rule is back. And that allows you to deduct 100% of the depreciation value of your investment property in year one. Now, yeah, I've said it a few times, and because it's pretty important. That's why. This strategy has been used for savvy investors to eliminate or significantly reduce their taxable income legally. All right. So it's now back on the table thanks to this big, beautiful bill. All right. So, yes, here in the greater Phoenix metro area, we have seen price stabilization. We have seen price decline slightly month over month, especially in areas with age listings, especially in the condo market, especially in manufactured home market, areas with more inventory, areas where you have new homes and existing resale homes competing. All right. It's not a crash. It's just a slow glide, really, giving buyers, serious buyers, the opportunity to negotiate a bit and not being a bidding war. All right. We've been in this buyer's market for approaching 9 months right now in this greater Phoenix metro area. Supply has decreased slightly, and that's because it's summer, right? People tend to take their property off the market in the summer, but demand is also flat. The good news is if you are out there right now in this market, you know, you can expect inventory to increase probably in the fall, as people try to see what the market is doing before the holidays. But know that prices is pretty flat. We're not seeing a big decline. We're not seeing price crashing. We're seeing stabilization. So, what does that mean for you as a buyer in today's market, July 2025? Inventory is higher than it was last year. There's more homes for home buyers to choose from. Sales are steady, but they are still moving. Prices are stable and softening, which puts buyers in a great negotiating position. The market isn't frantic, it's strategic. Now, now is the time to get pre-approved if you're looking to buy and start touring homes. Position yourself to act when the right one hits the market that suits you best. All right. So if you're waiting for prices to crash, you're going to wait a mighty long time. All right. Get out there and see what's best for you, right? So if you're thinking about new construction, this too could be your moment. Builder confidence is down, and that's your leverage, right? That's why we're seeing builder paid closing costs, builder paid rate buy downs, appliance packages, landscaping, and even flexible move in timelines. You know, um, beware, however, not all builder deals are the same. Not all builders are the same. You need someone to help you navigate that contract. And yes, that is what I do. So let me take a quick little sip here. Right. Now, there are some folks that are having challenges with their finances, challenges paying their mortgage payment. So, what if you are behind on your payment? What if someone you know is behind on your mortgage? If that is the case, if you are in pre-foreclosure, please know that you are not alone, right? Over 70,000 FHA loans have become delinquent nationwide, and Arizona is not immune to that. But here's the good news. You have options before foreclosure happens. Sell traditionally is an option and protect your equity. Use that equity for a rainy day fund to pay off other debts to move into another property that's more suited to your needs. Explore cash offers and flexible closing times. Use loan assumptions and seller financing, renting out the property in order to make everything work. And if you say, Natasha, I need to stay in my house, okay, I'm not selling anything. Well, then get in contact with your lender. They have loan programs available for you. They have programs to help you as well. So please be sure to reach out if you have questions about this or anything regarding real estate. Be sure to schedule that free strategy call so we can chat more. When you're, let's talk about a few seller strategies that are working today, right? Especially in those areas with buyer's markets, the Goodyear, Buckeye, Casa Grande, Queen Creek, Santan, to name a few. Surprise, to name a few. Okay. Here's how you win, regardless of what the market conditions are. Okay. One option is you offer seller concessions upfront, right? You offer to cover all or a percentage of the buyer's closing costs, right? Um, and make the home more appealing that way. Offer a 2-1 buy down strategy. Make sure there's staging, there's professional photography, floor plans, things of that nature. Make sure there's flexible showing times and quick responses to those requests for showings. Okay. Don't let those sit. People may look for a while, but once they choose your property to see it, make sure that they can get in it right away. Okay. Buyers tend to move quickly when they see what they want. I mean, think about it. When you see what you want, that's the society that we're in right now, whether it's on, Amazon or some other online scenario. You click on it, you buy it, bam, they already have your information, your payment information in there. So people are used to moving quickly when they see what they want. So allow the option for that. Okay. Now, if you want to see what seller incentives are available in your area and what buyers are responding to, then be sure to schedule that free consultation and I will be happy to walk you through that data. So now let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the Greater Phoenix economic outlook. If you're still wondering, I'm thinking about selling. I don't really know if now is a good time or not. Let's talk a little bit about our area's growth. Arizona has added over 74,000 jobs over the last year. 11,000 of those jobs were added in April 2025. Major employers are expanding, right? Phoenix, Surprise, Apache Junction, Casa Grande, Goodyear, Mesa, more areas expanding. I mean, drive around town, you see road construction. all over the place. They are preparing for more people, more commuters. Major industries include education, healthcare, logistics, semiconductor, manufacturing, AI, data centers. From a job and economic perspective, Arizona continues to attract big players. TSMC, Intel, Lucid Motors, to name a few. GTI Energy is scheduled to bring 600 jobs to Goodyear. Healthcare and logistics growth in Mesa, Phoenix, Buckeye, and Glendale. And then, of course, TSMC in the North Phoenix area, and Amcor uh, projected to bring jobs to Peoria. Buyers are still buying. They're cautious, strategic, and budget conscious, aren't you? Your listing, your listing has to shine and be priced right. Look good, smell good, and be priced right. So, the greater Phoenix area is experiencing significant growth and development, right? We have a thriving population, ongoing infrastructure projects, thriving job market, and rising incomes, right? So it's clear that Phoenix is a place where opportunities are. So whether you're considering a move or looking for a job or simply want to enjoy all that is Greater Phoenix, all that is Arizona, all that we have to offer, let's chat. It's the perfect time to get involved in the community. Anyway, I thank you for tuning in. If you have questions or you want to learn more, feel free to reach out. I'll make sure that the link is available for you to schedule that 15-minute call. In the meantime, stay informed. I'm here weekly. Embrace the opportunities that Phoenix has to offer. Ta ta for now.